Some people don't talk much, and that simple fact often makes others uncomfortable. Silence gets noticed, it gets questioned, it gets filled with assumptions. When someone doesn't speak often, people tend to wonder what's going on in their head, or worse, they decide for them. They assume disinterest, insecurity, arrogance, or emotional distance. But the reality is usually far more nuanced and far more human. People who don't talk much are not empty inside. In fact, many of them have very active inner worlds. Their thoughts don't rush outward. They stay internal, forming, connecting, and deepening before ever becoming words. For these individuals, speaking isn't automatic. It's intentional. Words feel meaningful, and because of that, they're used carefully. One of the core psychological reasons behind quietness is how a person processes information. Some people think out loud. They speak in order to understand what they think. Others need to understand before they speak. For them, talking too early feels confusing, even dishonest. Silence gives them time to sort through thoughts and emotions privately, without external pressure. There's also an emotional component. Talking exposes you. When you speak, you reveal opinions, values, and feelings that can be judged or misunderstood. People who don't talk much are often highly aware of this, not because they're afraid, but because they're sensitive to nuance. They know how easily words can be taken the wrong way, and they'd rather stay quiet than say something they don't fully stand behind. Many quiet people are also deeply observant. While others are focused on contributing to the conversation, they're paying attention to what's actually happening. Tone changes, body language, small shifts in mood. Silence allows them to notice details that loudness often misses. Their quietness isn't disengagement, it's presence without performance. Another factor is emotional depth. Some people experience emotions intensely and internally. When feelings run deep, language can feel limiting. Words can flatten complex emotions into something simpler than they really are. Silence allows those emotions to exist without being forced into explanation. For these individuals, not talking is a way of respecting their inner experience rather than rushing to translate it. There's also the issue of authenticity. Many people who don't talk much dislike conversations that feel forced or superficial. Small talk, in particular, can feel draining. Talking just to fill space feels dishonest to them. They would rather say nothing than say something meaningless. Silence, for them, feels more genuine than empty words. Psychologically, this often ties into energy regulation. Conversation requires quick responses, emotional attunement, and social awareness. For some nervous systems, this is exhausting. Silence helps them conserve energy and stay balanced. It's not avoidance, it's self-regulation. They're not withdrawing from people, they're managing their internal state. Past experiences can also shape this tendency. Someone who grew up in an environment where speaking led to criticism, conflict, or being ignored may learn that silence feels safer. Over time, that safety becomes preference. Even when the environment changes, the habit remains. Silence becomes a learned way of protecting emotional boundaries. It's important to understand that being quiet is not the same as being shy. Shyness is about fear of social judgment. Many people who don't talk much are not afraid at all. They simply don't feel the need to fill space with words. They're comfortable with pauses. They're comfortable with being misunderstood for a moment if it means staying true to themselves. There's also a strong link between quietness and independence. People who don't talk much often rely heavily on their own internal compass. They don't need constant external validation or feedback. Silence gives them autonomy. It allows them to exist without constantly adjusting themselves to others' expectations. From the outside, this can be misread as coldness or lack of interest, but internally, these individuals often care deeply. They just express it differently. They show care through consistency, attention, and presence rather than constant verbal affirmation. Their connection is subtle, but it's real. Another overlooked aspect is control. When you speak, you lose control over how your words are interpreted. Silence maintains that control. It gives a person the power to choose when, how, and with whom they engage. For people who value clarity and intention, silence feels like a form of self-respect. Culturally, talking less is often undervalued. Many societies reward assertiveness and verbal dominance. Quiet people are encouraged to speak up without anyone asking whether they actually want to. Over time, this can make quiet individuals feel like something is wrong with them. But psychologically, there's nothing deficient about silence. It's simply a different way of relating to the world. People who don't talk much often open up deeply, but selectively. When they do speak, it's usually because they feel safe, understood, or genuinely interested. Their words tend to carry weight because they're not thrown around casually. They may not speak often, but when they do, it usually matters. There's also a philosophical side to this. Silence allows for reflection. It creates space to think, to feel, to notice life as it unfolds. For introspective people, silence feels grounding. It's where insight forms. It's where they reconnect with themselves. Talking constantly can feel like being pulled away from that center. If you are someone who doesn't talk much, you've probably felt pressure to justify it. You may have been told you're too quiet, too reserved, or too hard to read. Over time, that can create self-doubt. But understanding the psychology behind your quietness can be freeing. It's not a flaw, it's a temperament. It's a valid way of existing. And if you're someone who talks a lot, understanding this can shift how you perceive silence in others. Quietness is not rejection. It's not lack of interest. Often it's depth without noise. It's presence without the need to perform. Silence is not empty. It's full of thought, emotion, and awareness. People who don't talk much are often carrying more than they show. Their world is internal, rich, and carefully held. They don't need to be louder to be meaningful. The takeaway here is simple but important. Not everyone connects through words. Some people connect through attention, reflection, and quiet understanding. Silence is not a problem to fix. It's a language of its own. If this reflection felt familiar, it might be because you see yourself in it or someone close to you. And if you want to keep exploring psychology, human behavior, and the quiet patterns that shape who we are, subscribing to the channel is a natural next step. There's more content here that goes deeper into these themes, and you're invited to explore it whenever you're ready.